Hello,
Juan,
hello.
how is it going?
It's going great, and you?
Yeah,
What's up?
I'm speaking in English because it's recorded. So yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, nobody's gonna understand anything. How's your masters?
yeah, busy. But the core part with the theory and stuff is completed, and now I have to work with the
Nice.
final project. But yeah, it's
Oh,
almost
cool.
there. So yeah,
Enjoy. Yeah, I remember my times doing my master's part-time and I was working full-time. I was based in the UK by then. It was, yeah, very chaotic.
hey Karan, thanks for joining.
Hello.
Hello, Benjamin. Hello, Juan. Yeah.
How's it going?
Busy with your GSOC applications, Karan?
Yeah, I actually I am applying for the IDEA comprehensive linting for JSON schemas. So I contacted various open source organizations which I contributed to on how they are using JSON schema, what issues they are facing with their linting. And I have also got more context on how JSON schemas are used in the community. So yeah, I'm
Super.
updating the application task and started working on the proposal. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That sounds awesome. And by the way, Benja Karan also did some PRs to some of my projects, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I'm busy with my exams. Like they are in this month. After that, like in April, I'll be more free, so I'll contribute more to source meta projects.
Cool. Sounds like
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Make sure that you are submitting your application on time. That is, I think the deadline is April 8 or something like that.
yeah. I'll share my draft with Juan this week, and I'll upload on the GSOC website on 24th, and I'll keep on updating it as I update my proposal. Yeah,
Great.
Cool.
Let's see if we have someone else joining. This is happening in the typical chains, daylight savings time zone chains in the US. So it's usually a confusing for folks, including me, that are joining like 1 hour late. Or let's see. Otherwise, we can go ahead. But just for your information, guys, we didn't have agenda topics for today. Um, we are supposed to have some reminders about this meeting in Slack, but we had some issues with the workflows because we needed to disable a GitHub action that was like insecure. So Ben Hatton found an issue on that one. So yeah, the reminders didn't went out.
I mean,
So
that is a good topic in general. I mean, if any, I think we should. Well, I don't think we have the right people in here, but something I was commenting on there is like, is there a way that we can stop relying on so many actions and maybe even do them ourselves? Because I presume that most of them are just basic automation, right?
yeah, it is.
And we can, yeah,
It is. So probably what we will do is like open an issue for someone to take a look, see what feature we have been using for that GitHub action, and see if we can do it ourselves. So yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
And in general, right? I mean, even beyond that action, for example, even on my own projects, I've seen that it's very easy to just go and like start pulling in like lots of actions without, thinking it twice. But then, you have issues like these ones where like they go on maintain or they like break or whatever. It's always a bit of a pain, right? I think, the most that you can reduce these kind of runtime dependencies, the better.
Definitely. And by the way, Juan, are you getting some draft submissions to get feedback and so on for your
For what?
GitHub, for GSOC, for the GSOC idea about LinkedIn?
Yeah, definitely. So it seems like a lot of people are actually interested. I mean,
More
including
than
Karen, right? So that I've seen. So
more than the past year, or kind of similar?
I would say similar.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just because past year, like we did like a big effort in promotion and so on, when we had like full availability to work full time on it. But now we are more like um, doing more like small actions here and there. But it's great that we are still having uh, talented people interested in the projects like you can. Great. Honestly, I don't know how to. Juan, what do you usually do, guys, when there are no agenda? So, what is the topic that you like to discuss, or maybe we just uh,
I mean,
choose
it's something
something.
emerges. I think. I mean, I don't think there is any shortage of topics. I mean, just to at least think out loud what's in my mind right now, right? That we should probably discuss is two things. The first one is around the conference, right? I think. I mean, we had some discussions around that. It would be very nice to start planning, as early as possible, and I'm sure that we can do a lot of stuff around that. For example, at least putting the website out, putting some announcements. I don't know, just getting the ball rolling in general. That's one of the things. I don't know if that's worth discussing at all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
I'm
who
just
who maintains that conference or JSON schema website? I guess is that you, Blanca?
is me and Daria Manmujar. So yeah, what happened is we opened like too many working different initiatives in the past, and all of them were like successful. Let's say, but suddenly we had this layoff, and we don't have
Sure.
time to work full time on it, and we just need to reassess who is involved from what. But yeah, it's me. But what I'm planning is okay, absolutely it will be great having the website updated like we agreed with these guys and start doing some promotions. But I would love to wait until like April or something. The deadline for GSOC applications is now in
Yeah.
April 8th. It's also the deadline for my submitting my project for the masters, and by then definitely I will just be totally free up, because for example, this weekend I spent like one day like reviewing a bunch of pull requests, and there are some things that I need to do myself, like these changes in the website or some accumulated stuff.
Sure.
Definitely someone else can do it. Yeah, I
Well, I
can.
mean, I think also the wider point on that would be interesting to think through maybe and digest over like the next month is like what can we actually do to decrease the overload of everything that's going on now that people are not working full time. I'm sure that we could be some more strategic. I'm sure there are things that maybe we are doing a bit that are not really necessary, or this could be just the time to do like a proper cleanup and say, okay, like whether we actually say no to and then stick with it. As otherwise, it will never
Absolutely.
work.
So what I have been thinking lately, and I'm just going to share this loud with everyone, is the 2 years ago, the website needed a revamp, the website documentation and so on, right? Of course, we still can improve, but we are in a much better position right now. And I think, but I rather prefer to have make the code the code base of the website like as maintainable as possible, like simple and so on, rather than keep like adding more like testing stuff or Docker or things that are overcomplicating the maintainability of the project. So, and if we manage to like shift the focus from the website to the ecosystem projects, is probably the best thing to do. Not like having contributors specifically with our projects, instead of like looking into the well-maintained tooling that we have out there, and Bowtie is highlighting those projects. So I think in the future we should try to find ways to redirect the contributions there.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I think
yeah,
and I like what you're saying, by the way, because the thing is that we have to accept right now there are more constraints, right? That
exactly.
were not before. And I think just embracing those constraints can probably lead us to adopt or like change maybe the way that we're doing things with an eye on maintainability over everything else. For example, again, I'm not saying that we should do this, but just to throw it out there. For example, let's say on the conference website, do we actually need to do it, like a Next.js for I don't know what technologies we're using, right? But for example, does it need to be that? It could be, for example, some I don't know website builder that we find online and we just like sketch it out in like 10 minutes and that's
Is
it,
Hugo
right?
is a Hugo template. Is very simple.
There you go.
The only thing that I had in mind is we can just clean all the content of the previous conference, or and have the content for the new one, or find a way to create a new section called past editions or something like that, for people to be able to browse the previous talks. Otherwise, we can we are losing that data, and that template wasn't prepared for that. So I need to create an issue for that, and have someone working on it. So, but is as I said, is Hugo is very simple. If I was able to do it, everybody can do it, basically.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and even simplified. I guess we're just speaking on the conference website just because of the conference, right? But like, I don't think that we really need like full-blown pages for like, sessions and the FAQs and the entire schedule. It could be literally like one page, and maybe we posted videos in there from the past conference and say, hey, this is a conference, and link back to API days and whatever, right? Just being as conservative as possible. I think we could apply the same into so many different areas, and at least have a core that we maintain it more rather than trying to do like 10 million things at once that are like half baked. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, exactly that. In addition to the changes in the website, there is a second effort that is regarding promotion. And for that, again, we need someone like being able to like spend 1 hour weekly or something like that to schedule some pods, and that's it. As of now, I didn't have the time. If we progress with this initiative about having a part-time community manager, this person can do it. The voting, I was checking the other day the progress in the voting survey with it, and it seems that the TST is positive about trying this approach and see how it goes. So we are going to have Onedikachi until April, like intern community manager. I'm like this small contribution mostly in GSOC, and after that we can proceed and offer her like this part-time community management work with like a certain percentage in social media promotion, and the remaining in the conference planning and execution, still getting involved in GSOC, and just small announcements in the community, because just with these three things, I think we can like do a great keep most of the things that we have been doing, like, because the big effort was done just to put those initiatives in movement, right? Now that everything is moving, we just need someone to take care of it weekly or daily, right? Yeah. Jason, are you there?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Sorry I'm late, and sorry my camera isn't working. I'm not sure what's going on there, but hello.
Yeah, we are discussing about one meeting we had the other day, Juan and myself, with the API Days folks. They sent a message because we were the ones speaking with them for the conference in past December, and they just reached out to introduce us a community marketing team that they had, two more people helping them with overall marketing efforts. And they just invited us to start gradually planning for this year's conference, start doing some changes in the website, some announcements, and that sounds great. But yeah, I'm just we need to think about how we better organize the initiatives we have in place, because in the past I had full-time time for do all of this, but not anymore. So yeah, we need to find ways to have more people involved, right? And remove myself from the middle.
Yeah. Well, that sounds great that they're inviting us back. I think that's a good sign that things went really well. Are we talking about the same one, Paris, for next year, or are we talking about, because I know they do a bunch of different.
But they are open for more locations, right? But I'm not sure that we can manage maybe two, but we can support like the monthly schedule they have, like the async API team is doing. But yeah, I think if we ask, for example, for New York or Munich, or in fact they said it, right? Juan, they said, if you guys like Munich or London or New York, just let us know, basically.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and definitely we should figure out how to get more help in organizing all that stuff, because it shouldn't be just all of you, Ben, doing all or most of the work.
Yeah, let's see if if we continue with this proposal of hiring a part-time community manager, and we decide on Edikachi that I am confident on her capability, and you already have seen her like working here and there. She can,
I've
of
seen
course,
she's been doing a great job.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm very happy with. I mean, she is very proactive, like, and take ownership of things. So yeah, it's the type of people we need for the setup of the project, in my opinion.
So one question, by the way, from me, and I think this could be a good action item, right? But I don't think that we ever took the time to maybe zoom out a bit and at least put on a spreadsheet or something like that. What are we actually working on in terms of the JSON schema, organization, and what are all of these initiatives that are being run right now in volunteering time, just so that we have everything in one place, and then maybe we can make some more decisions. Because, for example, I think, you, Ben, how you're doing a bunch of stuff, other people are doing a bunch of stuff, but I don't think any of us has a full view of exactly what everybody's doing and what are the things that we're all pursuing at the same time. And maybe if we see all of that, then we can say, hey, maybe half of what you're doing maybe is less critical and it's okay to just park it for now, right? But we probably need to see it somewhere.
What
I
format do
think
you
that'd be
think?
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, to see what everybody's doing, and I mean, even if it's just for like, just for community, to see how everybody's doing and keep in touch. I think that would be a great thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, just coordinate people maybe on filling out a spreadsheet, right? If we have one that we can put in the TSC channel or whatever, which like what activities are we carrying, that have something to do with JSON schema, and just, again, in the interest of embracing the constraints and just help at least getting people maybe focus on one thing a bit, and not feeling overwhelmed with like a million things that never get done.
Sounds great to me. So yeah, let's how we can do this in a big issue, or in a GitHub project, or just a spreadsheet. So what do you think, guys, can work in this case? Any proposal?
Any way works, at least for me. I don't know. If maybe Jason, you have any opinions?
I don't know. I was just thinking, I mean, I think you guys are kind of talking about two separate things. So I think one is saying like, what is everybody working on, at any given time, and I think Ben was talking about like planning for or I guess coming up with things that need to get done.
Yeah, but I think they are
Am I right about
interrelated,
that?
right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah. I think I was talking about both, like short-term things that I can take care properly, and also what the initiatives that have been started, and we are not like let's say support properly like we did in the past. So yeah, in my case, is a set of community programs, and also maintaining some projects like the website, the conference, the landscape, the tour, because Phil was the one creating the project in the past, but Phil is not fully available this year, so we need also to think about how we can have more people like supporting part-time the maintainership efforts. And the tool is like a great tool for the JSON schema. So we need to keep taking care of it. So yeah, I'm very clear about the things that needs more hands. And yeah, I probably let's start discussing the TST to see what is the best format for that. Instead of just creating something, let's see what other people think in the public TST channel, and we will start putting that together. But yeah, I think what is also happening to me is this monthly schedule is like not not helping for the having us like fully engaged in the next action, right? I don't know if you, Juan or Jason, guys, you have the same feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tricky, right? Because I mean,
Uh,
also given the time zones and people not working on this full time, it's hard to even get everybody to attend the meeting. I mean, as we can see here, I think we're just a fraction of the TSC that is even able to attend on this time, and conversely, for any other time zones. So I think it's hard, but I think that could be a way of asynchronously doing it, right? Like for example, if I know, okay, Ben has time is going to I don't know, Google Summer of Code and the conference and maintaining lots of things on the website and maybe tour of JSON schema, right? And from those you say, okay, like this is taking me a lot of time and I cannot do it, right? If we all say that, I think it could give us a way of like allowing the community and the ecosystem to thrive within those constraints and the fact that we cannot coordinate with each other a lot more than we think. Because I guess here's what I'm thinking, in other words, and maybe you tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I think when you were working full time, I mean you all, right, were working full time on JSON schema, a lot of initiatives got started, right? Rightfully so, because there was time to do them. And then when that didn't hold anymore, then we're on this tricky situation where people are not employed full time and they don't have time. But because those initiatives were started before, people are like pushing themselves and burning out just to try to get them done still with a limited time, without maybe zooming out and say, hey, these are the half of the things that we should probably just cut off completely.
Yeah, we haven't done that exercise, and probably is something to do. And I'm thinking, for example, the ambassadors program. So that's a great initiative. We are not like maintaining it like actively, and yeah, it's something that there was a good moment for that, but now we need to think about if that's aligned with the resources and the goals we have for the future. So yeah, definitely we need to do that. So let's start the conversation in probably we can create an issue suggesting this and see what is the agreement we have for putting everything together and probably have a dedicated session just to like choose the and I mean at least like acknowledge what are the things that are with less priority, take some decisions, and this maybe decide how we can get support in certain situations, right? From others. Yeah. Are you okay with creating the issue, Juan, considering that you suggested the
Yeah,
idea?
I will.
Great.
Yeah, let me take notes. Yeah, we'll do that. And I think, I mean, my other point that I wanted to at least mention, which is I guess related to the same thing, right? About priorities in general, is that the more that I'm working, with JSON schema and like people working with JSON schema, the more I'm like feeling the pain of how terrible the education experience is in general. And I know that, I mean, we did great things, right? Like the tour of JSON schema, that it's a great step forward. But I continue thinking, it's insane how much the educational component, I think, is hurting the ecosystem, and people either not knowing that they are even using something that is called JSON schema, confusions with like Open API and HAV, or like people don't even get to learn it on the first place and they're confused and they try to use something and it's non-compliant and now they do even worse. It's like I think the more that I work and all that kind of stuff, it's just insane. And I think, I mean, with the low resources that we have, I think it would be interesting to see, what could we do on that direction primarily, right? I think that's the direction that seems to be, at least to me, or maybe I don't know, it's my point of view given what I happen to be working on. That seems to be, you know, lacking. And we are making progress for sure. I think, I mean, it's not saying that we're doing a bad job. I think we're doing great, but it seems like we even need to do better. Yeah, I don't know how you guys feel. Maybe it's just my.
Yeah, it's not something that is as high on my radar as it is for you. But I think, yeah, I mean, there's always more we can do and better we can be about about that stuff. I think that most of us don't really have that skill set to, be writing tutorials and all of this stuff. It kind of seems like we need to bring in somebody who's passionate about doing that, or maybe that's you, Juan. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm trying, right? I mean, I don't think I'm particularly skilled at that, but I try to do that kind of stuff with Learn JSON Schema and like with the video course or whatever. But it's just what I continue feeling, to be the pain point, right?
Yeah, and I do think you're right that people tend to complain a lot about JSON Schema, and mostly it's that stuff that should be the easy stuff, like just relatively easy concepts. So like either they're not putting in the minimum basic effort, which is probably true, or we're not providing good enough materials for them to learn it.
Yeah, I mean, and just as an example, right? Again, I don't want to. There is a big company. You probably know about the big company. I don't want to put them on the spotlight and like mention it there. But the thing is, there's a company that you guys know, well known within the JSON schema space, and they are maintaining quite a bunch of schemas, right? And the thing is that as I was started to work a bit with their schemas, turns out that all of their schemas that were completely wrong and invalid, just because of like AJV, right? Pretty much. They were just crafting completely invalid schemas. Why? Because AJV would take them with their own oddities, but these schemas like wouldn't work anywhere else, right? And I think we get a lot of that, which is, again, I mean, AJV for sure, it is to blame in some respects. But then the other thing is that these people that know what they're doing, right? And they're actively writing schemas, and they're putting effort, and they're getting it wrong, right? Against all odds, is probably because we're also terrible at saying, hey, this is why it's wrong, right? Or this is what you should be doing instead. I think there is like so much of that that it's crazy.
Well, what I think is going to make a huge difference in that is if I ever get the language server out, where and so people will get, like, as they're writing their schemas, they'll get real-time feedback on like, oh, that's the wrong way to do it. That's not a real thing, and and here's a best practice, right? And then it kind of hopefully should bypass the whole problem of not having great docs, or the even bigger problem that people don't actually read the docs, and
Sure.
just get it right into their development process.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's my overall point, with this call. That was the reason I was highlighting the priorities and everything. Is like, if we know that we have extremely limited resources and extremely limited time, given that, what is it that we could do or we should do that is like the one thing that can have like a disproportionate advantage to what we're doing compared to the rest? And it, at least to me, it feels like it's more on that direction.
Yeah, what I can just, on my perspective, this was my priority the past year. So if we look back and see where we were with the website, I'm not saying design. What I'm saying is the information architecture. Let's call it, right. So we we managed to get it selected in Google Season of Dogs, and actually we still have some things that to review in terms of migration guides and some stuff. But I think we are in a much better position. We are, of course, using schema. I always say, I use the same sentence: is simple yet complex at the same time. And the more resources we have, of course, the better. But basically, the JSON schema was the first step for us to provide a learning experience, but it's just the first version, it's the MVP, so it can grow a lot. Karen put something in the chat that is having a YouTube course for free. Is something that I had in my backlog the past year, like these free code camp courses and stuff like that. There is a free code camp course about designing APIs that it has like 10 million visits or something like that. So it can help a lot, but it move us to the beginning. So we need someone. We know the pain point, but we can decide rather of paying someone to do it. That can be costly, and we have better more budget that we had in the past in 1 year ago, but it's not unlimited. Or we have people that is excited about this, and if we have people excited about this, I'm sure that we can help a lot. I'm not speaking with companies, but yeah, I can assume that this AGB thing is happening, and a bunch of other things like people stuck in draft 7 because they don't know they can like the how simple it is to on the implications of migrating to the last draft. They don't know how different tooling can collaborate to each other to have a full end-to-end usage of JSON schema with all the different use cases. So definitely, yeah.
I mean, also I like what Jason said, right? Which is that there might be clever ways of even avoiding having docs, but just being more forcefully being where the users are and just like shouting at them at the right time. I think that might be a very interesting way, and potentially maybe even cheaper, time money wise, than say making a huge effort to just have better docs or whatever, right? Maybe it's just like a huge blind spot of a specific tooling, like the language server, and that's the entire solution to all of it, and we're just going in circles.
Yeah, I think we need to make this happen. I think we need the working group or something like someone or some people with a focus on this. If we think, if everyone in the TST think this is something to invest on.
Yeah. But I think the working group in my mind, that's what I'm trying to pitch, right? I think the working group in my mind is the TSC, right? Like assuming that we're all on the same page, what does actually matter, right? The most, given that we probably can focus on like one thing at a time, what would that be?
Is the spec, the stable version of the spec, this is the top priority all the time. This is the priority one. But
Yeah,
I
fair
think
enough.
we my opinion, my personal opinion, but I think we can like have like two different groups like moving something. Otherwise, I think the TSC, as soon as we have alignment, we can have two people working in the Google Summer of Code on management, 2 or 3 people working in the conference stuff, 2 or 3 people working in like this learning, improving the learning experience in some way. These 4 initiatives with like one owner or two co-owners, something like that. Something that we can try. Not that we show that those initiatives are progressing and people is involved, and there is a space for that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think having multiple groups going on things makes sense, but also like I can see some people crossing over and doing a little bit of both as well.
And by the way, going back to your reference to the language server, Jason, are you still working on it, or is just on hold for the moment?
So yes and no. So I'm so I got to a point where I decided that like kind of a core piece needed to be refactored in order to move forward in a good way. And so I'm working on that refactoring right now. So that is going to turn into a new major version of my library, and then I can go back and revisit the language server built on that new version. So yes, I'm still working on it, but a little indirectly at this point.
Please take over AJV, Jason, if you have some time to spare. That would help us all.
I don't want it. Like I've looked at the code. It's awful. I don't want anything to do with that.
I mean not the code. I mean just make hyperjump the most popular one.
Oh, just replace it. Yeah, replace
Yes.
it. I'd be fine with that.
Yes, please.
Actually, I think the main thing that's holding that back from being a really good alternative is the error handling, and that's what the Google Summer of Code project that I've proposed is all about. So hopefully, once that's done and and that's in a good place, I think that library is in a better place to really push and say, like, there's no reason you should be using AJB anymore.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, and I think when that the language server is in that point, and imagine that you like feel that the more contributions are needed, or maybe we can also suggest like the TST for a grant or something, because it's a very strategical project. So maybe if the TST agrees, maybe there can be a grant for someone or you to work full time on it. I don't know. So I think that something that Juan said in the past, we are not using much our funds, and we should like having them more in movement in the future.
That would be fantastic, actually, because
It would be, yeah.
the more that the more I can get some financial backing, then the more I can put into this, because it's hard to focus on these things when I need to pay bills.
Definitely. Yeah. Let's if it's okay for everyone, let's pause a moment the strategic discussion, because Karan has been connected the full time, and there are 2 questions from him, and I like to give him the opportunity like to reply for those questions, or maybe if we have time we can go back to the topic. So Karan, I see you put it in the chat 2 questions. The first one is regarding the issue 560 regarding the code editor, and the second question is regarding what is the status of the pull request regarding the JSON schema charter. So which one do you like to start with?
So I'll start with the first question. So
Okay.
I was working on unifying the code editors. So as of now, we are if you would just open that issue, or I
Yeah,
shall
I'm going to
share
do
the
it.
screen.
Just give me one
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
This one, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So if you would just see my latest comment. Yeah. So I replaced the slate.js library that we are using in the JSON editor.tsx component with React syntax highlighter. And as of now, I have like the reloading of the component, re-rendering of the component has been stopped. I just need to get the colors right, and then I need to like import some functions from the lib folder. And so like it is a pretty big issue. As of now, the line change that I have is around 400
Yeah,
lines.
it's a
And
very complex
since
one.
yeah, so since
Where-
this project is like a component library project is coming this year, so like shall I continue working on this issue? That was my question as of now.
If you reach to a point when you think that you can solve it, of course you can still working on it. The issue has been there for probably a full year. Yeah. So no problem. So for context, what happened here is we have 2 different code editors. We have a code editor for everything that is not JSON or JSON schema. That is a standard one called is this one, React Syntax Highlighter. And we also have a more customized code editor or code snippet element for JSON schema, JSON instances. And we have this behavior when we can have like some messages to show that the message is compliant, not compliant, showing that is data or JSON schema. And what happened is the look and feel is too different. So we couldn't make it behave like similar to each other. So, and the experience is, it's not ideal. It is working out as of now. And the purpose of this issue is like have one single component that is working for all the use cases, and is what Karan is working on. So Juan, you tried to say something, and I was speaking. So
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a bit of an aside thing, right? But like, is this just way more complicated just because it's like React and like JavaScript and everything? I mean, I feel like this could be, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, right? But at least from my experience with learnjsonschema.com doing that kind of stuff, it was trivial, which is, Ugo and like plain HTML and whatever, and you call it a day in like 10 minutes. Whereas, my feeling is that things like, the React, it adds a ton of complexity, right? At that point, you have a web app more than a website, and that might even touch back on the whole maintainability aspect of things. Like, do we really have capacity to maintain like a React website instead of like a, I don't know, an HTML, like as dumb as it could be, right?
I just want to have one single component. So if we can get rid of this React thing, why not? So it's what was there when we initiated the draft version of the new website, and we just put that in production. But definitely one option can be like simplify everything and have the simplest version as possible without React. I don't know. So if we are not lacking user experience, if we are not getting a definitely poor developer experience, why not? So yeah.
Yeah, again, maybe it's just me, right? I'm not like a JavaScript guy or like a web guy, but for example, even when I try to do the pro help, thing on JSON schema, and I find it really confusing. But again, maybe it's just like that I don't have the right experience and doing, involving things like React or whatever. It seems a lot harder than just, sticking some HTML and done. But again, maybe it's just me, right? I'm not a web dev. But it makes the
Yeah,
barrier
so
higher for me, for sure.
yeah.
I agree that this is all more complicated than it needs to be, but I think this is where we are right now, and it's going to be even more work to throw
Yes.
everything out and try to do something simpler. So I feel like we're kind of stuck right now, but as what we can do is try to simplify what we can, and make an effort to keep the complexity out of things. Like I've seen a lot of places where we've declined proposals to do things because it just makes things more complex, even if it would be nice. It makes it more difficult to maintain. I think we need to do that, and also make an effort to pull things out if we need to. Like if something like, oh, there's this little thing that creates some sort of minor value, but it's like super complex to maintain, just rip it out.
Yeah.
And make things simpler.
Yeah. So as of now, the issue is when we click on the copy button, it is inside of a use state. So that component whole re-renders. So as of now, I just put that into a use memo hook, and as of now, I'm not facing that issue. But Benjamin, this was my question to you. Like mostly Utkarsh and some other folks are applying to that component library project. So would it be better to like collaborate with them and use some component library to solve this issue rather than using Tailwind CSS? Like I guess Utkarsh is using Chakra UI or something. So it would be better if I could ask him and collaborate on this issue with him.
Definitely, this is actually this is a nice to have. This capability is an nice to have in that project idea. So we have the components and standardization with the goal of removing code complexity. So have the remove some files that we are not going to longer maintain and stuff. And if the person that is going to be working on this can connect with you and take and continue with the progress you have done. So definitely, I'm going to be the mentor of that project. So if we manage to get the slots for it, so yeah, sounds good to me. So let's put it on hold. And also, you are in your exams and you need to prepare your applications for the project that you are for Juan's project. So yeah, let's do it. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, all right. And also another question I just had it right now for Juan. I had in my rules like the upgrade downgrade So like you mentored a project last year which was by the name of upgrade downgrade rules, and I had a rule which was about removing the some deprecated keywords. So like I thought that they could be linked, but I am not completely sure what the project last year you
Yeah,
mentored
I would
was
say they are
exactly.
different, right? Because, for example, it's not even, like upgrading deprecated keywords, because in most of on the actual versions of JSON schema, there was not much of a deprecate. I mean, with some exception, minor exception aside, right? There was not like a deprecation like phase. It was like, this is the keyword on this version of JSON schema, and then this one is this one, right? So it's like black or white. It's not even removing the deprecated one. It's like, are you upgrading to the new one, or are you staying in this one, right? Otherwise, anything in between is completely invalid. So that was my point around that. And I think there are two, but I think you're touching on a good point, and just as a bit of context, because I actually think that, yeah, linting, upgrade and up and downgrade, and even converting JSON into other formats like Apache Avro, they all share the exact same underlying mechanism, right? Which is that you need to loop on every sub schema of the in every sub schema of the schema, and do some transformations given some rules, right? And that's, for example, in my tooling, you see that I have one concept in one of my libraries that is a schema transformer, right? And the schema transformer, I use it for the linting because, for example, you can use it if you do it, but if you check but you don't transform, you're linting, right? If you check and transform, you're auto fixing, right? If you pick a different set of rules, you're actually upgrading or downgrading. If you pick another set of rules, you're actually transforming. So it's all, you're right that it all shares some commonality, and that is a correct observation, right? But I think also from the interest of like the rules that we implement, I think it would be, we have to compartmentalize them a bit. Otherwise, it would mean solving everything at once, right? Because it's just how interrelated they are.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that makes sense. And also, could I have like more than 10 rules? Because if I have like more ideas, and
Oh
so
yeah,
shall I
sure. I
include
mean, 10 was just like a random number of like just to evaluate, the proposals. But yeah, the idea is, how you thinking about them, or how can you think outside the box to go and figure out, because that's the key problem, right? I think even if you get like the world's expert of JSON schema in a room, right? And you go and ask them what are the best practices for JSON schema? Like most of them, I believe, or if not all, we're not gonna know what rules off the top of our heads, right? And probably even we're gonna start arguing with each other about what are actually the best ones, right? So I think we would not even us know what the best practices are, and I think the key point of this project specifically is I can actually can somebody come in and help us get in the same page, right? And get everybody to agree. So it's more of a, like a discovery and an alignment, like project more than anything else, right? Like, can you actually can manage to get everybody to agree that this is unambiguously the best rules that we should have? That's 90% of it.
All right. Yeah, makes sense. Like just one last question. In my proposal, like since the project is like of 350 hours, so like what shall I include in the timeline component? How much time should I denote to the rules? How much time should I denote to, okay, we are implementing this actually in some like maybe source meta repositories or some other tools?
So from my point of view, implementing them, I think that's the minority, and it's just a bonus, a nice to have, right? Like if you have time, yeah, go in and feel free to implement some of the rules, right? But it's completely optional, right? So again, like the value for me, right, is just getting everybody on the same page. If you manage to unify the JSON schema community, the TSE and the ecosystem on, okay, this is unambiguously what we define as like this is good behavior and this is bad behavior, right? Without any gray area in between, just helping us define what that is and potentially put it on a readme somewhere or a page on the website or whatever. That's, I would say, 95% of the problem. So if you have any more time, for example, during the project or even after the project, to just go and start implementing those rules in either my implementation or yours or whatever, right? Again, just purely a nice to have. The whole point is just to unify people. That's the core value.
Yeah, makes sense. But I was like a bit confused because we have to implement like these set of rules for JSON schema. We have to unify the community. But like I need to like put some things in the timeline component. Okay, what I'll do in the first 3 weeks, the next 3 weeks. So I'm gonna do the same thing over and over for all the weeks, right? So
Yeah, pretty
if
much. I mean, try to craft the plan that you want. I think the reality is that with any of those plans, if it's to any level of detail, I mean, I'm sure that if you get selected, half of the plan is gonna be thrown away, and like things are gonna take life of its own. So it's just maybe like a guideline, right? If any.
yeah, thank you for pausing your conversations and answering my questions. You could just tell me like is the TSC charter like issue complete? And I'm done with my question.
Let me share what the issue, what you are talking about is this one. So you, for reference, this was created in February 10th, 2023. So it's almost done. So there has been a lot of work, but in the context of us joining the OpenJS Foundation, something that is not going to happen because finally, for different reasons, we crossed paths, and there is an ongoing discussion in the TST to see what is the best place for us to, or what organization, standard organizations or foundation we need is better us to join. But yeah, and I have been pushing for closing this up because, on my perspective, from a community perspective, it's great if we like have this merge for having our governance process and our foundations like transparent for everyone. So because it's going to help us to scale as a organization, attract more sponsors, and probably send a clear message to the ecosystem. So yeah, I think this, when we put together these priorities that we have, in my opinion, finalizing this is one of those. I don't know what other things, Jason or Juan.
I
What
think
do you
it's
think?
exactly
Thank you.
the same that we were even discussing before, right? Which I think we need to probably spend some time cleaning up and closing out any like any open initiative from when there was more time and or something else, like whatever happened with the OpenJS Foundation. It seems like we need to do a cleanup exercise overall. Just to avoid confusion, right? Either among ourselves, but also to any other person just looking around at the issues like Aaron, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was Ben Hutton's initiative, and probably, and I know he doesn't have a lot of time right now, so it's I don't know. It's probably something that we'd have to get him involved in to review it and see where it's at, and all that before we can move forward.
Yeah. So that's the status, Karen. We are moving slowly, and yeah, we need to finalize most. What I can say is most of the let's say operations required for removing the OpenJS Foundation reference from the docs, those are completed. But this is a different story. We were discussing about governance, priorities, and so on, and that's there. So yeah, let's see if this issue to put together the priorities can help us to finish it. Yeah, and this is basically the biggest action item for today, is like having that issue created, and everyone in the TST and in the community also for pushing for like see if we can like reduce the list and put the focus, and see if we can probably put an owner in certain initiatives to see if we can like accelerate a bit in this new world when we don't have like full-time maintainers.
Overall, we need money. That's the bottom line.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But for example, what I have been thinking is if we have a new community manager involved, probably will like remove myself from most of the community operations. And one of the things that I had in mind in the past is like finding out. There are two big initiatives in my mind that I would love to accelerate. Let's say one is strengthen our relationship with implementers. So giving them more resources, giving them funds, giving them marketing support, giving them, make it clear that the message is we are an ecosystem and we are trying to concentrate resources and spread it in those implementations and implementers that are more committed with the ecosystem, with the best practices and stuff like that. And the second is sponsors. I think that we can do a lot of work in like, because with just a few things the past year, we managed to get a good number of new bronze sponsors. But if we manage to attract one diamond, one gold, things like that, definitely the kind of things that we can consider doing can change a lot, because we can just pay people to get involved and pay people in the community to get involved. So those are the two big things for me that will be great to do. And if we have to choose one, I don't know what to choose both, because implementers, I think the opportunity is there. And now the website has a much better integration with both eyes. So we have like the pieces there. So we just need to find the minimum viable implementers program that we can try and see what is how the ecosystem is perceiving it, and if we have more implementers like asking about it. Yeah, those are my two things in the backlog.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic for sure.
Okay, well, I think we are almost out of time. 3 minutes left. Any other topic you guys like to discuss? Great. So yeah, thanks for this great discussion. I'm looking forward to see that issue created, Juan. And from my side, as soon as I have time, I will start doing the changes in the conference repository to start putting some messaging for 2025. And I will create an issue to see if someone in the community can help us to find a way the simplest way to keep the talks from the previous year available, so people just can go there and explore the content. So yeah. Let's do it.
Well, last question. Is Benja your master's project related to the JSON schema?
No, it's not.
Oh no.
No, my master is chief digital officer master. So basically, is including 50% of the content is product management stuff, and the other 50% is digital transformation, team topologies, yeah, things like that. It's like the digital strategy of companies. And for choosing the topic, we have like 5 different options, and none of those is like JSON schema related. So yeah, unfortunately, it's not.
On the next master then.
No, I'm as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to pause my learning desires, because I have been like 3 years or for different small courses and not the master, and I'm like really tired. So I need to recharge my batteries, and probably the free time that I have in the future, I'm going to spend it with JSON schema, with this thinking more strategically, and see how we can like push it for the next year. So yeah, that's it.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. Then.
Okay, take
See you
care.
next
Have
time.
a good rest of the
Bye-bye.
day. Take care. Bye.
Bye, everyone.